Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our 24th annual Donor Scholar Breakfast. My name is Kapi Ho, and it's my honor to serve as the chair of the Lakeland Foundation's Board of Directors. Those who have attended this breakfast in the past know that this event is one of the highlights of our year. Not only does it give us a chance to come together as a community that cares about Lakeland, we also get to hear firsthand from our students, for whom our mission has created access to pathways that are leading them to success in academics and in life. And when one life is lifted, our entire community benefits. In a few minutes, I'm going to introduce you to Lakeland's president, Dr. Morris Beveridge, who will then be followed in the program by Greg Sanders, who has a very long title, Lakeland's Vice President for Institutional Advancement and Executive Director of the Lakeland Foundation. However, before I invite Morris to the podium, we want to recognize all our wonderful groups of supporters in the audience this morning. And it's interesting, since many of you belong to more than one group. So we're going to try an experiment today and give the opportunity to work off a few calories from breakfast. I'm going to ask people, group by group, to stand and continue to remain standing as we call out the other groups. By the end, let's see if we can have everyone on their feet. So please hold your applause until we get to the end. Firstly, if you are a member of the Lakeland Community College Board of Trustees, please stand and remain standing. If you are a member of the Lakeland Foundation Board of Directors, please stand and remain standing. If you are a Lakeland student, please stand. If you are a donor or representing a donor organization, please stand. If you are a current or retired Lakeland employee, please stand. If you are a family member or a guest of a student, please stand. If you are a Lakeland alumni, please stand. I think we have everybody. So look around. This is an amazing and fantastic network of supporters. Let's give each other a big round of applause. All right, you guys can sit down now. And thank you to everyone, from our board members, students, donors, employees, alumni, and friends. We appreciate everything you do for our college and for our community. And I am so honored and proud to be part of the Lakeland family and community. I'm pleased to now introduce Dr. Morris Beveridge, Jr., President of Lakeland Community College.
Thank you, Kapi. One of the advantages of announcing you're planning to retire is you don't wear ties anymore. So, did you take the remarks?
Greg did.
Yours, sir.
I was told remarks would be here. Who has some? No, I'm good, thank you. So right here it says Morris Beveridge remarks, okay? And underneath it in parentheses it says, feel free to use these notes or to make any changes you'd like. Okay. Yesterday afternoon I had the opportunity to spend some time with Dr. Wayne Rodehorst. Dr. Rodehorst, in case you're not aware, was the founding president and probably the most singularly important and significant contributor to the starting of the college. Now, there were a lot of people involved in starting Lakeland, but Dr. Rodehorst was president for 15 years, and it's always a pleasure for me to be able to sit down with him and hear his stories. Now, he's 93 years old, sharp as a tack, lives about a mile from here in Parker Place. And so yesterday we talked about you know, the old times and what he experienced and what he went through and so forth. Now, while he was president, I was a student here. And I graduated under his presidency. I had no idea who the guy was. I didn't even know the college had a president at that point. Didn't really care. I was here to play soccer and have a good time. But what strikes me is how our student body has evolved over the years. And the students that were served under Dr. Rotehorst's presidency are significantly different. We're significantly different than the students that we're serving today. For example, when Dr. Rotehorst was president, the majority of students were going full-time. Today, 75% are going part-time. And as you look at the research into why a student goes part-time, there's two reasons. Anybody guess? Money? Time. Real simple. Money and time. And the two of those are intertwined significantly, right? Because the student needs money to go to college, has to work, and typically has to work because they're not being supported, in order to pay for college, but also has to work more because of college than they otherwise would to support their family. And I think that that's something quite remarkable about an organization like the Lakeland Foundation, which I think got its start under Dr. Rotehorst. But the foundation and the work of the foundation is so fundamental to the opportunity for students to come here. And maybe it means that they get to take 2 classes instead of 1, or 3 instead of 2. But the significance of the contributions that many of you have made over the years and will make over the years is manifested in this event every year. And it's hard to keep, frankly, the moisture out of your eyes when you hear these stories. And just understand that the stories you're going to hear are not unique. They are unique, and yet they're not unique. Every one of our students has their story and their issues of challenges facing them from attending and completing college. So if you're a donor, if you're a contributor, if you're an employee, if you're a member of our board or directors, you're making a difference, and you're going to hear about that difference today. This past year, we made almost $1 million of distributions from the foundation for scholarships. About over 600,000 was towards scholarships alone, and that number is going to rise over the upcoming years. It cannot be overstated how much we appreciate your involvement. We also started a number of new funds this past year. The Humphrey Auburn, I think is how it's pronounced, Family Endowed Scholarship, Music Elevates Endowed Funds, K. Michael and Louise Benz Endowed Fund, Bob Kenyon Men's Resource Center Program Endowed Funds, Gary Gus Spiro's Memorial Endowed Scholarship, Gary Gus Spiro's Memorial Scholarship, Aspen Dental Scholarship, Meredith A. Ring Scholarship, Donna Skufka Endowed Scholarship, Society for Rehabilitation Endowed Fund, and the Lakeland Community College Veterans Center Fund. So those are just some of the items. When I started in 1990, the foundation was just barely getting back on its feet. It had gone dormant for a few years. I vividly remember the year we celebrated reaching $100,000 in donations. This past year we gave out $1 million. That's significant. So thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to go off script. And if you'd like to sit down with Dr. Rotehorst, I'm sure he would welcome the invitation and opportunity. So now, Greg, I guess I turn it over to you. Is that right? Come on up.
All Aren't you glad I gave him these written remarks? And I'm not retiring anytime soon, so I am wearing a tie. Thank you, Dr. Beveridge. Before we introduce our speakers this morning, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the recent passing of two individuals who made a profound impact on the Foundation's commitment to empower the success of our students. The first was a longtime donor and friend of Lakeland, Judy Sampe, who passed away on March 11th. Judy was a Lake County resident and a registered nurse who retired more than 30 years in her profession. She believed passionately in the importance of education for students in nursing and related health fields. So in 2007, she established the Judith A. Sampe Nursing Scholarship with the Lakeland Foundation, which is a need-based scholarship awarded to full-time or part-time students enrolled in Lakeland's nursing program. Judy extended her support of our students even further through the Judith A. Sampe RN Nursing and Science Suite in the Holden University Center and the Judith A. Sampe RN Center for Nursing and Clinical Education, which, if you look up to my right, is located right here in our Health Technologies building. Even though Judy has passed on, she's still with us at Lakeland every day. Judy, thank you sincerely for your support, your friendship, and your faith in our students. I'd also like to acknowledge the Foundation's former executive director, Bob Can, who passed away on December 21st. Bob came to Lakeland in 2003 and led the Foundation's fundraising and friend-raising activities until his retirement in December of 2019. But Bob was not only a Lakeland employee, he was also a donor. Bob and his wife Alice established the Lakeland Me Too Fund, a need-based scholarship to assist Lakeland students who've left a situation of domestic violence with the determination to create a new pathway to independence. Bob was a dynamic, gifted, and caring person who was a friend and mentor to many. We believe the best way we can honor the contributions of both Bob and Judy is to continue our diligent stewardship of their Lakeland legacies. We're grateful to them both for their commitment to the success of our students. And now, we'll hear from three of our student speakers. Mary Hussein, Luis Arroyo, and Rachel LaCroix. So typically what happens is the program director introduces the student, but Dr. Jennifer Collis, Associate Provost for Strategic Educational Programs and Retention Initiatives, was not able to be with us this morning. So on her behalf, I'm going to introduce you to our first student speaker, Mary Hussein. Mary is a graduate of Willoughby South High School who came to Lakeland in the fall of 21 and enrolled in the honors program. Lakeland's honors program, which receives donor support from the Lakeland Foundation, is a vibrant co-curricular option for students who have achieved a 3.5 or higher GPA. The program is designed to enhance the student's academic experience through honors coursework, leadership development service, and community building. Programming includes the national and regional conferences of the National Collegiate Honors Council, arts and cultural trips, and service to our community. The program helps to connect students to scholarships, study trips, including the Honors London experience, transfer partnerships, and leadership experience. Mary has been an active participant of the honors program and serves on the Lakeland Honors Organization leadership team. She's traveled to national and regional events and engages in all activities the program offers. She's intellectually curious, and her interests are varied. She may focus on the sciences, yet she also enjoys political science and has participated in the UN NATO program. When traveling to the National Honors Council conferences in cities across the country, she's independently visited art museums and participated in community service projects. Most recently, Mary has led an effort to promote our annual beach cleanup on Earth Day. As the daughter of immigrants, Mary values the wealth of opportunities she has been offered and embraces these experiences with enthusiasm and interest. She excels in many endeavors, yet it is her desire to support others and build community that demonstrates her compassion and kindness. She exemplifies the honors pillars of community, leadership, and opportunity. Please welcome Mary to the stage. says everything about you.
Okay, hello everyone. Before beginning with my remarks, I'll be honest and let you know that I don't claim to be a great public speaker. In fact, if you told past me that I would be willingly giving a speech before noon, she'd probably hate the idea. I still do. However, there's a large difference between the Mary pre-Lakeland and the Mary that you see in front of you today. Lakeland was something that I chose out of circumstance. I graduated high school during the pandemic, and my choices for college were limited, both due to financial and familial constraints. When I first walked through the doors of Lakeland, I was determined to make the most of it. I joined clubs, actively participated in the honors organization, and enjoyed the many events hosted by our various college organizations. I didn't anticipate how much Lakeland would change me as a person. I used to be incredibly shy, something that I believe was chipped away at by the people surrounding me here at Lakeland. The faculty and students here are incredibly passionate. I know it sounds cliche, but as I was writing this speech, the one point that I kept coming back to was how passionate everyone was here. They love what they do to a point where it's infectious. It's inspiring to see the people around you teaching you be incredibly into their field. It's like being surrounded by fellow nerds. Lakeland also made me more confident in both my abilities and who I am as a person. The smaller class sizes were allowing for you to better interact with both your professor and extracurricular faculty, like the UN professor and advisor. I don't know what my teachers saw in me, but they liked it and nurtured it, and I'm incredibly thankful to them for it. In my time at Lakeland, I have been to various conferences and meets that also supplemented my education here at the honors program, such as the Mideast Honors Convention and the National Collegiate Convention. I made new friends and realized there were a lot of students just like me, major nerds. At these conferences, students would present research that once again was inspiring due to how passionate they all were. I can fondly recall discussing anthropology over breakfast with a student at the National Collegiate Conference. Inspiration is a two-way street, and I've been inspired by a innumerable amount of people here at Lakeland. And it's crazy to think and say, but I've been told by my younger sister that I'm also an inspiration. I can only credit that to Lakeland, and I'm incredibly grateful that I was given the opportunity to speak about it. Thank you.
Good job, Mary. Great job, Mary. Not bad for being shy. Great job. Congratulations. Next, I'd like to invite Elia de la Garza, Lakeland's Hispanic Program Coordinator, to come to the podium and introduce you to our next speaker, Luis Arroyo. Elia.
Hola, buenos días. Mi nombre es Elia de la Garza, and I'm the Hispanic Program Coordinator. One of the things that I do here at Lakeland is help the students to fill out the college application, scholarships, connect them with tutors, and all the services and resources that Lakeland has, and sometimes even help them to interpret and make the doctor's appointment. And even, I'm not only working with the Hispanic program, with the Hispanic students, but also with international students that have come to my office. I've been in contact around like 20 to 25 students weekly, and I also, the ones I call on the phone, and the ones that I visit in the high schools. The highlight of this year, we started off strong with the Hispanic Heritage Month celebration at Painesville. We have over 50 different nonprofit and business organizations, and to offer services and resources to the community. Afterward, we personally invited at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to participate in their first Hispanic Heritage Month celebration to help identify the Latino involvement in music and arts. This semester, we were invited to participate in the Cleveland International Film Festival panel discussion that after watching a film called Home is Somewhere Else, the students were able to connect with the film and telling their life stories. Today, I have the honor to present our Hispanic student who is here on a student visa from Guatemala. The student was involved, and during this time in Lakeland, with the Hispanic Club, Campus Activity Board, Lakeland Student Government, Sueños program. Currently, the student works at the Hive, where has proven to be almost an expert with the machinery that Lakeland offers. Now, so you can put a face to the name, I present to you Luis Arroyo.
Good morning. Celia was saying, I'm Luis Arroyo. I'm an international student from Guatemala. I graduated from Andrews Osborne Academy in 2021, and I was accepted to Lakeland on a full scholarship. I want to thank Lakeland and the donors for the support you have given me. I received support from the beginning the conversation program, which has helped me to achieve my goals. I'll be the first person in my family to graduate from college. Without this opportunity, this will never have happened. I am able to work and to be independent while I take classes. Lakeland is a great community that has opened their doors to me. I have been involved in different clubs such as Hispanic Club, where I serve as a president, Campus Activity Board, where I serve as a treasurer and a president, and Lakeland Student Government, where I serve as an active member. Lakeland has given me the opportunity to work at the Hive, where I have been able to meet wonderful people, help both the students and community. I have learned a lot from this experience. I want to give a special thank you to Elia de la Garza because she's always helping the Hispanic community. Without her, I would not be part of the Sueños program, supported by Lakeland Foundation, which has helped me with the process of getting into Lakeland. I also want to thank Juan Gutierrez for all his support and friendship. This is just the beginning of my adventure, and I'm striving to transfer a 4-year college where I will continue my studies of marketing and graphic design. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Luis. Now I'd like to introduce Ryan Eubank, our Welding and Fabrication Technology Program Coordinator, to introduce our third student speaker, Rachel LaCroix. Ryan.
Rachel. Huh. So I am the program coordinator for our welding program here, and I don't like to call it a program. I like to call it a family. And in our welding program, it's really a unique atmosphere when you walk down there and you go into the welding room. And it takes all kinds to make it work. It takes a village to build the family. And one day I was sitting in my office and there was this young lady that was walking down the hallway, and she was back and forth, and she walked in and she says, I'm here to sign up for a welding program. I'm like, And I was like, wow. I says, why welding? And she says, well, I want to learn how to TIG weld. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. Not knowing that saying hi to somebody could not only change my life, but change the whole perspective of what the welding program's all about. She is one of the young ladies that fits into the program, and she teaches the young men and women that are presented into that program how to be a professional. And Rachel comes in, and the welding booth and the welding program lights up, and it's absolutely amazing. They can ask her for question, a favor, an answer. It's amazing to have someone like her in our program. And watching Rachel go out there and work her craft in the welding program, never knowing how to weld or why to weld, she just came in and wanted to take an opportunity. It was amazing. She wanted to take one program, and then she started taking all of the programs. And it's not only changed my life, but it's changed the whole perspective of the way the welding program is being ran. And it's all because of one wonderful woman, and her name is Rachel LaCroix, and I'll let her come up and tell her story.
Hello, I'm Rachel. So to kick this off, I'm 37. I do not look it. I know it. I've been told. But everyone's like, how have you experienced that much? And you're not that old. I am that old. So I moved up here to Northeast Ohio to help care for my grandma. She is now 93, and just mobility is finally starting to slow down on her. She's the Energizer Bunny with her third pacemaker and everything like that. So I'm here to help Grandma, and Grandma's obviously retired. I am not, and I cannot sit at home for hours on end just staring out the window at birds like Grandma. I haven't mastered that art yet, so I was like, Grandma, we got to do something. And I moved up here from northern Louisiana, so I do have a southern drawl on certain words periodically. Ryan likes to emphasize it more than I actually have it, but it's there. And so I was like, you know, I have an art degree from when I went to university after high school, and don't do anything with it. Didn't really plan on doing anything with it, but I knew I needed to go to college because I was not ready for the real world at 17 when I graduated high school. And so I was like, Grandma, I want to take welding classes. And she's just staring at me because she's an English professor. And she's like, okay. And I was looking around online, and basically it was Auburn or Lakeland Community College. And Lakeland happened to have the time frame that worked for me and Grandma, for her to be home alone for a few hours. And so here I am. And yeah, I walked into Ryan's office, and he was like, sure, come on, join the party. And I started classes last May, and it happened to be that there were 4 boys, or young men, I guess I should call them, who just won state and were getting ready for nationals. So Ryan is, my dad Googled him because that's what my dad does. He's a librarian, so he likes to research things. And he found out Ryan's basically the best instructor in the entire nation for welding. It's like, that's where you should go. Okay, Dad, great. And so here I am. And Ryan will teach you like nobody else, and then you kind of snowball off of his teaching methods. And so it was nice when he was in a booth with someone, you could go to the booth next door and be like, hey, this is what I've got going on. I think this is why I have this issue. What do you think? You compare notes, you do the peer check, and it was really nice. And then when the guys were here practicing for their nationals, you could go ask them, because clearly they have more knowledge than I do, since I've been in class for 4 hours. And they've been here for years. And so it really is a family. I'm one of the guys, and then the next moment I'm not one of the guys, and I don't want to listen to what one of the guys is talking about. So I do have mama bear moments. Child comes out a lot with a southern drawl at them when they're sticking electrodes in their mouth. Like, come on now, let's be wise. And so it's been fun, but it really has. And so I live with Grandma, and we belong to the Perry Senior Center here in the area, and I do have my own membership, the youngest one we got going on. And so there's a lady there who used to do outages at the Perry nuclear power plant, and she's like, you should apply there in the welding. And I was like, not really sure I want a nuclear power plant as my first welding job. So thankfully that did not actually happen, but they needed laborers. And so I've been working there, and I've gotten to meet numerous people in the welding industry as welders at a nuclear power plant, and just kind of make connections of people in the area, because this is where we always visited Grandma, but never lived here until 2 years ago. So it's definitely been a really good accomplishment, or like really interesting way to kind of figure out the next steps of life. Don't know what they are yet. We're still working that, but it's just been a really neat experience. It wouldn't have happened because when I moved here, my first college class that I took here was out-of-state tuition, so that took some of my savings account. And then I got to get in-county tuition, which was glorious, as well as scholarship money that Ryan and Tom Rosenblum helped me get. And so thank you very much for making it possible for me to be a mama to these boys some days, and just one of the guys, and it's fabulous. So thank you.
So, Ray, when you first met Ryan, did he mention that there was part of the program was sticking electrodes in your mouth? No. Oh, okay, surprise. Well, thank you, Mary, Luis, Rachel, for sharing your stories with us. And now, it's my honor to introduce you to this morning's donor speaker, Rich Ifelis. Rich is what I'd call a heavy hitter, because he goes to bat for Lakeland in every way. Everybody get that? I know it's early. He's been a member of the Foundation's Board of Directors since 2010 and serves on our scholarship committee. He's been a committed facilitator of Lakeland's partnership with his employer, CT Consultants, and has helped to steward their support of Lakeland's CT Consultants Scholarship for students in the areas of engineering technology, planning, surveying, and mapping. Rich and his wife, Michelle, have also been foundation donors for more than 15 years, providing generous support not only for our annual fundraising efforts, but they have been the first to respond in times of immediate need of our students. Please join me in welcoming Rich Eifelis to the stage.
Thank you for that introduction, Greg. That was very nice. I do have remarks written. Is President Beveridge still here? So I know he's going to fact check me here in a little bit, but good morning. Good morning. I'm a professional engineer, licensed professional engineer and a licensed surveyor, so my introduction has to begin with a joke. And I know it's somewhat technical, but hopefully this will go through very well. I was asked to talk about why I'm a donor and why my family is a donor, but I'm going to go back to my roots as a technical person educated in engineering. So here it goes. There was an architect and a contractor standing under a flagpole, looking up quizzically, not knowing what to do, when an engineer drove up in a truck, came by, and asked, "What are you doing?" And the contractor responded to the engineer, "We were asked to get the height of the flagpole. Can you help us out?" The engineer goes back to his truck, unbolts the bottom of the flagpole, lays it down, measures the flagpole, 22 feet, 6 inches, rebolts the flagpole back in place, goes back to his truck, and leaves. The architect and contractor are still looking at each other until the architect says to the contractor, "Well, a lot of good that did. They asked us for the height, and you gave us the length." Okay, so for the architects and contractors in the room, wait your turn. I have the podium here. I'm a native Northeast Ohioan, and when I talk about education, for me it stems as the son of immigrants as well. It's hard to follow the young people you heard here speak here today, but my parents immigrated from Italy in the mid-50s, and they survived fascism and Nazi Germany through their town. Quite a struggle, but they persevered. They took the path of higher education as opposed to most of their family, my cousins and my aunts and uncles, who were in their own right, stayed in agriculture, and became a number of them became stonemasons, honorable trades in their own right. But my mother and father both chose the path of higher education. My mother became a teacher in Italy, my father a professional land surveyor. But times were tough. Post-World War II in Italy, they decided to immigrate and left their siblings, their parents, to make a home in America. They came to Ellis Island, became U.S. citizens. They learned the language, albeit with a wonderful accent. I can recall many conversations with my father around the dinner table. He was always talking about politics, whether it be the White House or the mayor of Willoughby. And every time he referred to the government, he always had that vowel in there, and they called it the government. And it was just, he was just doing that in his anger to talk about what he was displeased with. And, well, I countered, knowing a little bit about the history of politics in Italy, that you may or may not know there's been 70 different governments in Italy since 1945. It's an average of about a little over a year. And my father responded, "Well, that's the way it should be. If you don't like what these do, Parliament votes them out." And so that's what's been going on in that country, and he believed that was the right thing to do. But nevertheless, my upbringing was all about family. It was all about family, several trips back to Italy, back to the homeland, and community. And community. And I'll come back to that word, community. My parents were influential on the schools I attended, the friends I had, where I went, where I hung out. Their story, their history inspired my brother and I to pursue higher education. I was not sure where it would lead, but I'm sure, as many of you know, an education can help you discover your goals, your values, and more importantly, it helps you discover what type of person you truly are and want to become. And I thought it would help me intellectually and be a critical thinker. So I pursued higher education. And that's always been accredited to, I would credit that to my parents and how I was brought up. But as I pursued in my career and I went further along, it was clear to me that as I got farther along that it was time to give back. I began some 15 years ago as a mentor to inner city youth in Cleveland to promote my profession. What I found was a remarkable experience talking to high school students and what education could mean to them and the possible careers it could pursue. It is personally gratifying to help these students out. Later on then, obviously as Greg mentioned, the privilege to serve on the Lakeland Foundation gave me exposure that others may not have. I began to see firsthand over the last 12 years or so the value of supporting students like you just heard here this morning across a wide spectrum of age, gender, and class. When you hear these stories, these testimonials, there's just, it tugs at you. You feel like you're doing well. This is the fact check that President Beveridge is going to check me on, I know, so bear with me. I'm an engineer in statistics, numbers, so I found it interesting to understand how many community colleges there are in this country. There's about 1,100 or so, and there's about 24 in the state of Ohio. And about 40%, less than half of adults in Ohio have an associate's degree or higher. And I also found that an interesting statistic. The state has set a goal for 65% by 2030. I don't know how that's going to be accomplished, but at this point in time, collectively, Ohioans owe about $60 billion in education, in debt on their education. What I didn't know was there are many states that offer free community college tuition for students. Not here in Ohio. And then you bring it home, and this is where bringing home for me, here in Lake County, the smallest county in the state, it's remarkable what our community, there's that word again, community, has done. Established in 1967, Lakeland was the first college in Ohio founded by a vote of the people. Again, an interesting statistic, crediting Dr. Roadhurst, as Morris had mentioned, as our first president, but it was founded by the vote, the people in the community, in this state. And to me, that speaks volumes to the value of a community college and in our community. The philanthropy in this area, in Northeast Ohio, is amazing. And it's a lot to be grateful and thankful for. But for me, putting those philanthropic dollars back to the community in which you live, work, raise your family, gives one immediate validation, gratification of seeing the benefits firsthand. And I know those young people you heard here today that receive those benefits, someday they're going to give it back as well. I'm going to close with a reference to Steve LaTourette. Those of you who've known Steve I regarded as a statesman. He was our representative to the 14th Congressional District here in Congress. He was a Republican, but his policies reflected a more moderate position. And I was at a discussion luncheon where he spoke about endorsing certain social policies that would seem to be contrary to the party line, if you will. And his remark was very plain and simple. I think it was the right thing to do. And that was it. That resonated with me for years and years, and I preach that to my now 3 adult children, that when you're faced with a decision, just do the right thing. Helping a Lakeland student who probably lives, works, or is immigrated here and raises a family right here in our community to help them meet their personal goals is just the right thing to do. This could be why schools like Lakeland are called a community college. So I thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rich. To conclude, we want to thank our speakers this morning for sharing their inspiring stories. And thank you to everyone here for the difference that you're making in the lives of our students. As you heard this morning, it's your generosity that allows our students to overcome challenges, to succeed academically, and to follow their dreams. In closing, I also want to thank the entire Lakeland community for partnering with the foundation to make these student success stories possible. And finally, special thanks to the Lakeland Foundation team, Tracy Morris, Tina Boucher, Nancy Brooks, Maureen McGinnis, Rachel Siegel, David Zira, and Greg Sanders. The foundation team always makes these outstanding events so special, and a thank you for all that they do every day in providing resources that enhance the lives of our students. This concludes the program for our 24th annual Donor Scholar Breakfast. I believe there's still plenty of food left, so please stay around and mingle. And we look forward to seeing you at the next Donor Scholar Breakfast in 2024. Enjoy the warm weather today before the storms hit, and have a wonderful spring. Thank you.